Hello, welcome to another episode of Best Cafes in Korea. It's a beautiful sunny day here in Seoul, so we're visiting lots of different cafes.
Here's a quick preview of what to expect in today's episode. For the first stop today, we're heading to Yeonhuidong. This area is north of Yeonnam-dong, which you might be familiar with already, and is very hilly and home to many larger cafes. This first stop is called vonzrr. Not sure what the name means, but the building is absolutely beautiful, this huge brick exterior. Let's go ahead and run inside and see what they have to offer. I just love newly renovated buildings. You can just tell from the finish that it's brand new. And let's check out the coffee counter first of all. At the counter they have a menu on an iPad and music blaring out from these speakers, so of course I have to mute it. But don't worry, today's episode is special because I've actually composed my own original soundtrack just for this episode. This is a ground floor room but has beautiful views. Let's head up to the second floor. What a beautiful light and airy space to study and hang out with your friends in. Fresh flowers on the table. And lots of interesting furniture. And of course, beautiful panoramic views of northern Seoul. It's a really sunny day today, so great light pouring. The baristas actually deliver your order to your table, which is quite unusual for Korea. First of all, I go for an iced Americano and a donut. The presentation is so simple and I love the wooden tray and the ceramics. We also got a tea, which was unusually blue in color. First, let's take a sip of the iced Americano. Pretty good, and a much needed first coffee of the day. Now, this little ring donut was full of surprises. For some reason, I decided to flip it over and it revealed that it's actually some sort of muffin, cosplaying as a donut. Either way, quite delicious. I love the design of this staircase. You can see a lot of detail has gone into the interior of this place. Now it's time to stroll through the neighborhood onto the next cafe. This neighborhood is full of mansions rather than apartments. The types of houses you might have seen in the movie Parasite. Beware of the guard dogs. The second cafe today is called 3 o'clock. Although the exterior seems modern, the interior is definitely rustic and European style. This is a super busy neighborhood cafe, but the baristas were super friendly and smiley. Let's take a look at the cake selection. They have mostly roll cakes here. Earl Grey roll cake, mocha roll cake, matcha roll cake, lemon and dill. They also have a selection of scones and egg tarts. Now they get extra points for this because they actually bake everything in-house. They have a little bakery inside. Although I wish I could see in the window a little bit more. And they also have some merchandise available. And a section for pour-over coffee. Although the space is quite large, it was actually difficult to find a seat. So we had to hang around for about 5 minutes waiting for a table. Once eventually seated, it's time to tuck in. So in this one we go for a matcha latte and an Einspanner. And this cake is the Earl Grey roll cake. I think this Earl Grey cake is a little bit unusual because it's paired with some kind of citrus fruit on top. Citrus and Earl Grey is an unusual combination for me. And the Einspanner was pretty creamy once it was fully mixed. This cake is enjoyable, but like I said, quite an unusual flavor palette. Anyway, it's time to move on to the third cafe for today. This one is right around the corner. Looking at the exterior, you might be forgiven for thinking this is a military installation, but in fact it's not a fortress, it's just a Korean cafe. And as you can expect, the inside is just incredible. I would expect many Korean dramas to be filmed here. It looks like the rich chairman's home in all of the Korean dramas, with a huge amount of chandeliers and unnecessary and over-the-top decorations, but I love it. Of course, out the back on the first floor, they have some sort of swimming pool. I don't recommend swimming in here, but it makes for a lovely walled courtyard to relax in. The weather's still a little bit chilly right now, so I would recommend sitting inside, but this would be great in summer. A barista kindly shows me to a balcony on the second floor, which has a terrifying several meter drop. If you're not afraid of heights, this would be a relaxing place to enjoy your Americano, with a view of a steamy pool at the bottom. Of course, we'll circle back around and check out that pool a little bit later. Anyway, it's time to finally order some drinks and food. At the counter, they have a huge selection of food, some traditional Korean walnut cakes and chocolate churros, salt bread, which is so trendy right now, some interesting twists on croissants that might make French people a little bit angry. And in the fridge, they have a nice selection of cakes like burnt Basque cake, matcha cake, and carrot cakes. We went for a tea, an iced Americano, and a shine musket grape cake. You can see this one looks quite interesting. I don't think it's that often that you see cakes topped with so many grapes. So I take it outside to the balcony for a quick photo shoot. The iced Americano here is good, pretty standard. And this shine musket grape cake is interesting. I'd much rather go for the interesting option than the safe option, you know? This area has an interesting view out into the mansions that are on this street. It feels quite invasive that we can peek over into their walled gardens. Now it's time to head down to the basement, which has a pool. I wonder how they get this steamy effect on the pool. It looks so cool in pictures, and of course in video too. It must be some sort of dry ice. I'm no expert in this. So if you visit this one, you've got to stand in the middle of the pool and take some pictures right in this spot. Anyway, it's time to move on to the next cafe for today. This one is called Gre, which they've spelled G-R-E in English, which is quite interesting. The interior is quite small and functional, but they have this giant roasting machine in the back. It shows they're serious about coffee. On one end of the bar, they're preparing their puddings. This cafe is famous for its puddings. So of course I picked up a pudding and an iced Americano. This caramel pudding looks absolutely incredible. There's something so aesthetic about a classic plain caramel pudding. Of course you have to give it a little jiggle. And now it's time for the taste test. I'm so happy this one did not disappoint. This is a really delicious, creamy, classic pudding. If you've had a good, fresh, homemade caramel pudding before, you'll know exactly how it tastes. And I absolutely finished this whole thing in one sitting, no problem. Okay, now let's go ahead and check out the final cafe for today's episode. This one is actually in the main area of Hongdae. Outside they have a Christmas tree. In Korea they leave their Christmas trees up for all of January. And this one is called Samdakosi. This huge cafe is heavily themed in the theme of Jeju Island. A sign at the front lets you know that it's pet friendly, so feel free to bring your dogs here. I think you have to sit out on the terrace though. The door handle is volcanic rock from Jeju Island. Inside they have palm trees, also a symbol of Jeju Island. You can really feel like you're in Jeju Island when you're in this cafe. The interior is dark and moody, as if you're sat next to Hala Mountain, which is a volcano. The menu is quite special and complex, so I took my time ordering, but the barista mistook this for me not understanding the Korean menu and gave me an English menu, which I thought was very kind of him. They do have a 3D menu for the dessert, so you can visualize what you're ordering. Now let's go up to the second floor. Here you'll find some rooms that look like they're straight out of an art gallery. Of course, these are photo spots where you can come and pose for pictures, and they're themed with natural scenes that you'll see if you visit Jeju Island in Korea. Let's run down to the basement. In the basement, there's a narrow passage. This leads to a secret speakeasy. Check out the amazing metallic roof. There's even a waterfall on the left-hand side. What a unique and interesting space to enjoy your coffee and desserts. The roof clearance here is extremely low, so if you're tall, do be careful not to smack your head on the roof. You'll be pleased to know I managed to escape without knocking myself out. And the buzzer rings, which means it's time to go and collect my coffee and dessert. For this one, I selected an iced Americano. And the dessert is a tangerine-topped ice cream. Tangerines from Jeju Island are really famous and really popular. Jeju Island actually produces several citrus fruits because of its climate. Now, this one was either freeze-dried or candied. I'm not quite sure how they did it. But the texture is super interesting. And it has a certain tartness to it that you wouldn't expect. The ice cream is good. It actually tastes more like a frozen yogurt. So it pairs really well with the fruit. And the iced Americano is pretty standard. Just like many other cafes, it comes with a little information card. These make for nice little collectible souvenirs. If you're traveling to Korea and you want a little memento, I recommend you collect these cards. Let's head out onto the balcony and see what the terrace is like. Again, it's still quite cold here, so I don't recommend sitting outside in this kind of weather, but in summer, this will be a beautiful spot to sit out in. And they actually have 2 layers to this terrace. Inside you can see there's lots of people and not a lot of seating for this one. They also have this interesting little room, another photo spot. Photo zones are so important for cafes in Korea. It's really important for marketing so that people come here, take the pics and post them. This one has a giant dol harubang in the corner, which is a traditional symbol for Jeju Island. It's a stone statue. And they offer some merchandise and some takeout products as well in the fridge, including $20 jams.
Hello, I was editing and realized I didn't film a proper outro for episode 3, so I'm gonna do it right now. Not sure why the Great Wall of China is behind me, it's totally random. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Best Cafes in Korea, episode number 3. Been super busy this year filming for you guys, so I hope you're enjoying it. And I hope you leave a comment below, let me know what you thought and which cafe you want to visit. And I hope this information ultimately was helpful for you, and when you travel to Korea, you're able to find all these cool places and make some memories with your friends and family. All right, take care.